Hi, I'm Tyler. I just want to introduce myself real quick. Thank you for that awesome introduction, AJ. Too kind. Yes, I'm originally from Seattle, and I've always gravitated towards technology. I love art. I love golf. I love pickleball. And, of course, I love business. Always been in the startup realm my whole life. I remember attending BYU. Yes, I got my degree. And I remember everybody, when they graduated, everybody was getting these awesome jobs, you know, going to these awesome startups or awesome Fortune 500 companies. And I was executing on this small little startup at BYU, and I'm like, am I making the right choice in my life? So I've been there. I know what it's like to be a founder. And I've done a little bit of this startup world like you guys are experiencing right now. Just to give you a little bit of street cred, I've participated in 3 acquisitions, which have been awesome. My latest one was Dev Mountain in 2016. We sold that to a larger education company. For those that don't know, Dev Mountain was a coding school where we taught people how to code and become developers and programmers and exit into the industry as junior programmers and upgrade from there. Most recently, I started actually with my father, John Richards, for those that know him. Yes, I am the son of John Richards. That is also a claim to fame of mine. We started a small little venture fund, so that's been super fun this year, raising some capital and deploying it into awesome teams, ideas, and innovative products here in Utah. But this is really entrepreneurship, and I know everybody's going through that. As a founder, it's just mind-blowing, right? So many problems come up, issues arise, things that you don't have solutions to. So how do you get through this? I know there's so many different ways to get through this, but what AJ said and what we're talking about today, I think one of the biggest helps and it aids in entrepreneurship are mentors, right? Mentorship. And these are people that have been there, done that. True mentors are people that can get you from point A to point B quicker and more efficiently in your own path. Right? Instead of you banging your head against the wall for hours, weeks, months, and years on a problem or solution, you can get there so much quicker by leaning on mentorships and mentors in your specific industry or niche or product or whatever you're doing. So how many of you have heard of the Startup Genome Project? It was, you have, Robert has heard of it, Scott has heard of it, of course, but for those that don't know, the Startup Genome Project was a research study where they basically went and polled thousands of startup companies. And they tried to find correlation and similarities between these startups, successful ones and unsuccessful ones. You know, what makes a successful startup? What makes an unsuccessful startup? Why do startups fail? Why do startups succeed? And in that survey and in that research study, they asked about mentors and mentorship. And they found out that those founders using outside help from mentors, people that know what they're talking about, people that know what they're doing, are typically, they raise 7 times more capital to their venture. They actually have 3.5 times more users or clients on their product. And the inverse, for those that didn't seek outside help, meaning that it was just the founding team, 2 co-founders, 3 co-founders, 4 co-founders, whatever, actually had 3 times less success, were 3 times less likely to pivot to a winning business model. The average venture pivots 7.5 times before they actually get to the winning product, right? The chances of you as a founder sitting in your own cubicle at your desk thinking of an idea and it being the one you're taking to market is literally 1 out of a million. And if that is happening, great, you're probably Facebook or Google and landed on an amazing business model, right? So it does happen, but the chances of that is very, very slim. So mentorship can help you shape that business, help you shape the product, help you shape whatever you're trying to bring into to the marketplace by awesome exterior data points, right? And Startup Genome proves that. And I'd like to think about mentoring as not just so much as me as a founder or you as an entrepreneur going out and trying to find additional knowledge, because mentoring is really a two-way street. I think as a founder or in my mentoring or as even a mentee and going to ask mentors to help me or be my mentor, you know, just asking someone for knowledge is more like a teacher, right? If I, as a founder or an entrepreneur, I'm looking for information, I can go take a course. I can go to BYU and take a class. I can go learn something from someone. But mentoring is a little bit different, and I think that's a little bit skewed in today's entrepreneurial world, where mentorship is looked at as like, oh, teach me something, give me something. But mentoring is really a two-way street where the mentee also has to provide value to the mentor. I think that's where I've had most of my successful mentorships and mentees and even mentors come into my life is when it's a two-way street where the mentor is providing value to the mentee and the mentee is providing value to the mentor, right? And it's mostly based around meaningful relationships. Mentorships is our relationships, right? You have to really nurture those relationships. If I'm just being asked out to lunch or coffee or, to a meeting or whatever, and it's just a one-time thing, again, that becomes more of like a teaching session, whereas mentorship happens when you're building relationships between mentor and mentee. My mentorships in my career have been relationships, and that's why I can show every single logo on the screen. I know the CEOs or founders or people at those companies because I've built relationships around that mentorship. An example from my career is, again, I was the founder of Dev Mountain, and Dev Mountain is a tech school. We taught people how to code and how to get into web development and learn those skills very quickly in like a boot camp format. And one of the logos on these screens I thought could be an awesome acquisition target, right? Someone who could acquire my company. And so I made it a goal at my time at Dev Mountain to get to know a lot of high-end tech CEOs and founders and say, okay, maybe I can nurture some kind of acquisition here or some kind of exit strategy for myself. And I approached that in the wrong way, just saying, okay, I'm going to go to these events where they're at and have like a very fluffy conversation or just go up and shake their hand or give out my business card and slap it down on every single table. That's not building meaningful relationships. That's not building mentorship. That's just me trying to get in front of as many people as I can. Versus one of the companies on this screen, I made a real effort to get to know this CEO. And so one time at a Silicon Slopes award ceremony back in like 2015, Dev Mountain at the time was doing really well, and we were awarded 2015's fastest growing startup in Utah. So Silicon Slopes gave us that award. They invited us out to this awesome award ceremony one night, and the CEO of this company was backstage. And I'm like, okay, now's my chance. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to get close to him so I could pick his brain, so I could again hopefully get in his sights for an acquisition. And that's my Dev Mountain exit strategy. And so I talked to him at that event backstage. It was literally like a 2-minute conversation. But at that conversation, I found out that he really liked the Utah Jazz. And so I had a friend, and so that event ended. It was a very meaningless conversation, very meaningless relationship. And that event ended, and I asked one of my friends who worked at the Utah Jazz, who was just a low-level salesman, I said, hey, can you get me some kind of swag or some kind of like signed autograph something from someone from the Utah Jazz? And he's like, no, I'm just a low-level salesman. I can't get you like a Donovan Mitchell signed ball or any kind of autograph thing. That's just way out of my wheelhouse. But he said, but what I can do is I can let you come to the game and let you in early so you can come around warm-ups and maybe you could get an autograph or two on something. So what I did is I went to a sporting goods store, bought myself a ball, bought nosebleed tickets. He let me in early to the game. I went there at like 5 p.m. when it started at 7 p.m., and I went down to the front row when they were doing shoot-around practice, and I shoved little kids out of the way, and I was putting my ball in front of them. And I literally got almost every single Utah Jazz player's autograph on that ball. And what did I do with it? I put it in a package, mailed it to the literal office desk of that CEO that I wanted to build meaningful relationships with. And about 3 days later, I got an email back from him saying, Tyler, that was the most nicest thing anybody's ever done for me. That ball is literally sitting in my little boy's room, and that was so nice of you. Thank you so much for doing that. I now send that CEO Christmas cards every year because we have such a good relationship, and he's become a huge mentor in my career. So that's what I mean by mentorship, building meaningful relationships, really getting to know people, and providing a two-way street there, right? Providing value back to the mentor as well, right? So what makes a good mentor? Again, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who might be like a step or two ahead of you is a great mentor, someone who's been down this path and had a successful outcome. That's what you need to look for in mentors. But what I like to look for is problem solvers, just generalists, like, hey, I have a problem. How can we solve this? And we work together to find a solution. One time in my career, it was September, and we were riding really high on revenues in one of my companies at Dev Mountain, And we said, wow, as an LLC, when you have revenues at the end of the year, those earnings are passed on to you personally. So I said, hey, I don't want to take a huge tax hit here. Let's go spend some money. We were going to end the year with about $750,000 in the bank, and I didn't want to pay those personal tax passed on to me at the end of the year. So as a company, we went out and spent that money. We went and dropped a brand new location, a new school in Dallas, Texas. And we weren't thinking very much, and we overspent. We bought a huge lease. We hired too many people. We bought chairs and desks and projectors, high-end tech equipment, and we overspent. October rolls around, and me and my co-founder realized, wow, we're going to be in the red. We're not going to have money for December if we continue on this path. We have overspent, and we are so done. So what did I do? I went to one of my mentors, who I've used for like the previous 7 years before this experience, and he was a numbers guy. He was one of those mentors that taught me how to count my pennies, right? And make sure I knew what I was looking at, forecasting, models, projections, 3, 5, 10-year projections in everything that I was doing. And he's always emphasized that. So I went straight to him. In about a month of time, we figured out, yes, we have to lay off some people. Otherwise, we're not going to make December payroll. But he was the one to literally lift us out of that hole. I remember going home that day when we figured out we were going to be in the red from the spending of dropping a new location and curling up in a ball on my couch and just like crying to myself, like, what am I going to do? Literally in December, first paycheck of December, right before Christmas, I'm going to have to tell people, hey, I don't have money for you. So it was horrible. But that mentor had been by my side. I've leaned on him a ton of my career, and he got us through that. 6 months later, April of 2016, we sell for tens of millions of dollars. So we got out of that hole. It was a crazy hard time, but I literally owe that to that mentor of mine who again, I went for financial help. So find problem solvers like that can help you in those really, really tough situations. And also be a good mentee, right? Be coachable, be teachable, understand. Also, be aware of time and you know, be present, and you know, don't waste time and just listen when they give advice. Of course, you have to take in that data point, right? You have many opinions coming your way, so you as an entrepreneur and founder, you have to ultimately make the decision on what you're needing to do. But I think a good mentee listens to every single point coming across their desk, right? And don't be intimidated by mentors. I've done this in my career, you know. In that situation at Dev Mountain when we were in the red and we weren't going to make payroll, I could have just held that to myself, not gone to my mentor because I was embarrassed. I've actually had this as a mentor. I've had one of my mentees do this. About 2.5 years ago, I invested in a small company. I only gave them $25,000, but to go prove out this model of work that they were trying to build a product for, and things were going great. I was working side by side with this founder for about 6 months of time. After 6 months, he just goes cold turkey on me. We don't have a relationship anymore. We don't talk. And he actually went and raised about $400,000 in a pre-seed round for his startup. After that $400,000 was in his company, again, he just went cold on me. I didn't hear from him at all. I didn't talk to him. And then about 9 months go by. He comes back to me and he pings me again. He goes, Tyler, I'm out of money. I raised $400,000. I spent it. I whipped up 4 hires. I went to trade shows. I bought hotels. I did this and that. And I'm out of money. I need help now. And I think he was embarrassed over those 9 months to come and tell me, hey, Tyler, like, I'm spending frivolously. I need help. And he was embarrassed to come and talk to me. But the second that we started talking again, we worked through it. And actually just recently, our venture fund just invested additional capital into that company because we pivoted, we found a working business model and a product that actually has product market fit, and his company is now completely resurrected. So don't be intimidated by mentors just because you're doing something wrong. I think being upfront and real with them and telling them, hey, I do have a problem, I do need help me figure this out, is the best way to approach mentors. And how to find a mentor. I know this all sounds great, but it seems really hard to find perfect mentors. It is really hard. But again, I think it goes back to building those relationships. Be a people person. Smile more. Shake hands. Talk to everybody. Talk to your program managers. Right here at RevRoad, you have an amazing resource. You know, talk to other startup founders who are also being mentored. Find someone who's already mentoring someone else, and they can hopefully mentor you. I think the best mentors are mentoring a ton of people. Because they're just a wealth of knowledge. So also look into tools and software. In my career, I've used tools and software to to aid my mentorship. And tools and software, I mean, things like Clarity.fm. Clarity.fm, you can literally go online, pay for an hour of time for anybody. In my career, I've used this multiple times. Actually, back when I was building some marketing channels for Dev Mountain, Clarity FM, I stumbled upon it, and I saw that the VP of marketing for Instagram was on there, and this was right when Instagram ads were coming out. If you remember when Facebook bought Instagram, it didn't have ads, and then Facebook, they bought it to purposely have the sponsorship of ads to make that RevRoad channel for Instagram. So I saw on Clarity FM, oh, the VP of marketing is on Instagram. I'm going to buy an hour of his time. It was literally $55 for an hour of this guy's time. So I talked to him. We have an awesome conversation. We hit it off, and he actually allowed Dev Mountain to be in this beta test for Instagram ads back in like 2014 or 15, and I was one of the only ones allowed on that beta program to advertise on Instagram, and that just blew up Dev Mountain like crazy because we were literally right next to Dole and Goodrich Tires and Nike and all these other huge brands, and then little old Dev Mountain was on the beta program of Instagram ads. So you never know. And then also like Facebook groups, Reddit, Quora, those guys, those forums and communities are a wealth of knowledge. So, it doesn't always have to be in-person one-on-one mentoring live with someone that you might be intimidated by. You can also, turn to software and tools and online websites to get mentorship as well. But anyways, that's me, guys. My name is Tyler, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Give it up,
Thank
you guys. Give it up for Tyler. Cool. Thanks, Tyler. That was amazing. Cool. All right, so we can fill 2 questions probably. Do we have questions for Tyler? Let's take 1 or 2. Don't be shy. Remember, he just said be friendly and be outgoing and be excited. Scott.
I just want to tell you, Tyler, that you did an amazing job. That was so packed full of information, and I thought one little nugget that sometimes mentees don't do very well is respect the time of the mentor. You mentioned that what happens is they'll say, well, I can't make that day, and I always say, you know what? If you need my time, I think you need to accommodate me, not you. Yeah. And so I think that's a really important point. Tyler's done some great things. Nice job, Tyler.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, good point.
Any others? Over here.
Besides getting like a signed basketball, and like, what are some other things that people can do to be a good mentee?
Again, provide value. I think one thing that the reason why mentorship relationships exist is, again, because the mentor wants some type of value as well, whether that's asking them to be an advisor and take a small portion of equity in exchange for that time and knowledge, or even if it's just being a data point for them, right? Typically, mentors are, industry experts in the same field that you're executing in, and they want to know your information. They want to know you and use you as a data point to say, okay, this is where industry trends are, or this is what's going on. And so I do think there's a lot of value that mentors can receive from mentees as long as they're open and honest and real, and again, can be that one data point for the mentor to understand more about what's happening in that economy or that field or that vertical, right? So, anyways.
Fantastic. All right, you guys, give it up one more time for Tyler.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
His information's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tyler.